Being different or unique is supposed to be good. You hear it all the time. There's only one you. The world would be boring if we were all the same. But what would you do if you didn't fit in at your school? No one talks like you. No one looks like you. No one lives in the same kind of house or neighborhood as you. You really stand out as being different. New Kid by Jerry Craft is a graphic novel about a 7th grader named Jordan Banks. Jordan is a typical cartoon drawing, basketball, and video game playing 12-year-old. He lives with his mom and his dad in an apartment in Washington Heights and has gone to school with all the neighborhood kids his whole life, until now. Jordan's parents have enrolled him in a prestigious private school where Jordan is one of only a few kids of color in his grade. On the first day of school, he gets picked up at his apartment building and in front of all of his neighborhood friends in a luxury SUV by his student guide, Liam. Liam's dad can be heard telling Liam to stay in the car and lock the doors, as Jordan, hoodie up over his head, dives into the back seat and ducks down so no one sees him. Things don't get better as the day goes on. Jordan gets lost trying to find his way to class because the campus is so big, and he runs into some kids who make stereotypical comments about race. As the school year continues, Jordan takes classes, plays sports, and draws how he sees his world in his sketchbook. At school, he deals with passive forms of racism, like being called by another black student's name by his teachers, or people looking at him when topics like slavery come up. While at home in his neighborhood, his old friends quit hanging out with him. Jordan becomes friends with Liam, his school guide. They connect over video games, and Jordan finds that even though Liam is very wealthy, he still envies Jordan because Jordan's dad is always around for him. He also becomes friends with Drew, a student of mixed race from a disadvantaged home. They share a common dislike of the class bully Andy. After Christmas, things really start to heat up. Jordan is enrolled in a modern art class, which he is sure he's going to hate, and Drew and Andy get into a pushing match in the cafeteria. Andy starts it, but when Drew pushes Andy back, Andy slips on an apple and falls. One of the teachers, whose first name is literally Karen, accuses Drew of starting it and threatens to have him suspended. Jordan stands on top of the cafeteria table and yells to be heard over the noise that Andy is the one who started it. The other students rally behind him, but Drew and Jordan, and not Andy, are still asked to clean up the mess. In a show of support, the other students join Drew and Jordan to help clean up. After that, everything happens. Jordan becomes physically sick and ends up leaving his sketchbook filled with all his thoughts at school, where Mrs. Karen Raoul finds it and reads it. To find out how the school year ends, read New Kid by Jerry Craft. The next book features not one, but two students who do not fit into their school. In the Wild Life by Jeff Zentner is a novel about Cash Pruitt, a high school sophomore, who was born and raised in a small Appalachian town in eastern Tennessee. When Cash was in elementary school, he found his mom dead on the bathroom floor of their trailer due to an opioid overdose. He moved in with his very poor Mama and Pawpaw. Mama works as a manager at Little Caesar's Pizza. Pawpaw has emphysema and is slowly dying. Cash mows lawns and cuts firewood to help pay the bills. Cash met his best friend, Delaney Doyle, at a Narrateen meeting, which is a support group for teens whose lives have been affected by someone else's drug use, because her mother is also addicted to opioids. She has a photographic memory and is a brilliant scientist. While she and Cash are canoeing on the Pigeon River, she notices a unique mold growing on some rocks in a cave. After testing it and having it tested by an outside lab, it is confirmed that she has discovered a new antibiotic fungus, which is promptly named after her, Penicillium delanium. She is interviewed by NPR while on her break at Dairy Queen, and later offered a scholarship to an elite prep school in Connecticut. There's only one catch. She won't go unless Cash goes as well. The prep school has agreed to her terms. Cash's grandparents are thrilled, but Cash doesn't know if he can leave his grandparents. How will they make it financially without him? How much longer will his pawpaw live? But on the flip side, if he doesn't go, Delaney won't go. How can he hold her back? Delaney has already found a new antibiotic and she's only 16. Imagine what she could do with a state-of-the-art lab surrounded by other brilliant minds. Cash ends up going with Delaney because he can't bear the thought of Delaney missing this opportunity, and he realizes his pawpaw's going to die whether Cash is there or not. He and Delaney take a Greyhound bus all the way from Tennessee to Connecticut because that's all they can afford. When they get to their new school, it might as well be a foreign country. The students there are the kinds of kids, the elite families of the U.S., as well as a number of foreign countries. These kids have never been truly hungry or had to wear the same clothes for days or found their mother's dread of an overdose on the bathroom floor of their trailer. Cash's roommate is a real jerk, so Cash doesn't make his first friend until he joins the rowing team. Alex is from Texas, works in his family's Korean restaurant, and wants to be president of the United States. No joke. He's also a new student and attending school on a scholarship. Cash and Alex meet up with Delaney and her roommate V, they've already become friends, at the dining hall the evening after the first rowing practice. By the time they are done eating, Alex has declared them a squad. Even though Cash has a group of friends, he still feels insecure, like he's the only one who shouldn't be at that school. Delaney is so smart. Alex is outgoing, V is rich and beautiful, Tripp, Cash's jerk of a roommate, has a member of the U.S. House of Representatives for a father. Cash isn't any of those things, and he doesn't feel that he has any special qualities. That all starts to change when Dr. Adler, Cash's poetry teacher, talks to him after class one day. To find out what Cash and Dr. Adler talk about, and what happens to make Cash feel like he might belong where he is, read Into the Wild Light by Jeff Zentner. The last book also features 2 high school students, but only one of them doesn't fit into his school. Ace of Spades by Faridah Abike-lyimide features 2 high school seniors who attend Nivea's private academy. They are very different. They are from very different backgrounds. Chiamaka's parents are very wealthy and have given her the best of everything. She isn't afraid to go after what she wants and is part of the popular crowd and on track to be valedictorian of the class. Devon is a scholarship student, spends a lot of time by himself in a practice room writing his own music, and is known by only a handful of students. He lives with his single mother and 2 younger brothers in a tiny, run-down apartment on the bad side of town. His mother has to work 2 jobs in an attempt to make ends meet, although they never do. When Devon's name is called as one of the senior class prefects at the first day back assembly, no one is more stunned than Devon. That Chiamaka is named as the head prefect is of no surprise to anyone. She's the most popular girl in the senior class and has the highest GPA. A prefect, by the way, is an older student who is a mentor to younger students and is also in charge of enforcing the code of conduct. They even get to wear badges. After the assembly, the entire student body except Devon get a text message from an anonymous sender identified only as Aces. The message says that Aces is here to divide and conquer like all great tyrants do. There is a picture of Devon and another student in a compromising position attached. Needless to say, Devon is suddenly not invisible anymore. It takes 2 days for Aces to send out another message. This time, everybody in the student body except Chiamaka get the message. There's no picture attached, just a quick line of juicy gossip that she got caught trying to steal candy from the candy store. As the school year progresses, Aces continues to send out text messages to the entire student body, slowly revealing Chiamaka and Devon's secrets. Aces also doesn't seem to care who else is hurt in these incriminating texts. as several of them often show other students as well. Chiamaka and Devon reluctantly decide they need to work together to find out who Aces really is and why someone is trying to ruin their lives. The only thing they have in common is that they are both students of color. Why are these two students the only ones targeted by Aces? What secrets could two high school students possibly have? It turns out that there are a lot of secrets and a lot more to this school than meets the eye. The high-stakes ending is due to the fact that things aren't as simple as they seem at Niveus Private Academy. You want to read Ace of Spades by Faridah Abike-lyimide to find out just how far things go. In all three of these books, the main characters appear to be different than their peers. In New Kid by Jerry Craft, Jordan is one of only a handful of students of color at his school, in addition to being considerably less wealthy than most. In Into the Wild Light by Jeff Zentner, Cash and Delaney are from a poor Appalachian town and attending a prestigious private school in Connecticut. And in Ace of Spades by Faridah Abike-lyimide, Devon and Chiamaka are the only students of color in their elite academy. Plus, Devon is on the verge of being homeless due to economic hardship. Yet all of these students are attending these schools to get the best education possible to better their lives. Even Chiamaka, who appears to have everything, has something to prove to her father's white Italian family, as they refuse to acknowledge her and her mother.